Okay, now, who's interested in applying to the US? Okay. No overlap. No one thinking UK and US applying. It's allowed, by the way. No? Okay. Is anyone thinking about applying to somewhere else other than the UK and the US? Oh, okay. Well, a little caveat, I usually say this, so I'll say this anyway, just in case things change with you, is we look at the UK and the US in these sessions because the majority of our students go to the UK and the US, but also the principles that you learn in the UK personal statements can be applied and slightly changed for Europe and Canada. So, but the US is its own beast in its own self. The US versus the UK. Both education systems will ask for some writing, but they are different. UK is focused upon your academics, your work experience, okay? And you thinking about how you are best suited to the course as a result of that. That's a key phrase, the course for the UK. With the US, you're not applying to a course necessarily. You're applying to the university, and then you're doing a lot of exploring into different course areas before then you pin down your major and minor. So, because of that, they want to know you as a person, the way you think, the way you view the world. Can you imagine that? They want to know you as a person rather than what academics can you do, okay? So as a result of that, the writing reflects this, and so with the US application, it's a little bit more focused upon feelings and life experience, your values, and how you perceive the world, challenges you've gone through, things like this. And I've got a framework on how to write that as well. There are many different applications to the US. Each of them asks for something different. So there's this thing called the Common App, and the Common App is the most common process in which students use to apply to the US. But within the Common App, there are various different requirements from different universities. Different universities will ask for an additional supplemental essay, which is different to another university's supplemental essay. The majority will ask you to do an essay on the Common App prompts, which is why we focus on that first. Okay, and once you get good at that and you've written several drafts and spent time with your college counselor improving it and working on that US essay, we call it, but it's really the Common App prompt. You choose one prompt. And we're not going to dwell on the prompts because it's really just writing about you, okay? Then, so once you've done that, then you're usually good enough to then go, I see how this works. Now you find it easy to do the supplemental essays. But just a word of warning that there are slight differences. So it's not just you do one application and then it's finished for all of them, like it is in the UK. So also, there's not just the Common App, there's the Coalition, which is an expanding application system. So different universities will say, right, apply to us via the Common App. And different universities might say, oh, apply to us via the Coalition. More have the Common App, a growing number in the Coalition. But here's the thing, if you write for the Common App prompts, you can use that in your Coalition essay, magic. Then there's also the UC's application system, which is the University of California application system, which have 8 different essays you could write about, but you choose 4 of them, but they're shorter. But that's something to speak to your college counselor individually about, okay? We've got lots of resources and help on that stuff. So the one we're going to focus on is that Common App main prompts essay, and that has a maximum length of 650 words. So make it short and impactful is the key message. So what's the purpose? The purpose of this is to present yourself in a dimension that reaches beyond your grades, recommendations, and test scores. When you do the application, there are so many things at that stage when you're doing the application that you can't really do much about. Your scores are your scores by that time, okay? The teachers have reflected upon your methods of learning and how you are as a learner and an academic and have already written the reference. There's not much you can do about what they say, apart from do well in class and try and impress them throughout the whole 2 years. And so, yeah, and test scores, meaning SATs and so on. So obviously you can do your best to get the best of those 3 things there to start with, but once you're doing the application, there's nothing much more you can do. So this is your chance to go beyond what is in effect at that stage out of your control. It's your chance to kind of stand out from other students with similar kind of academics and or references. So your chance to provide insight into who you are and what's important to you. And you're going to keep hearing this word over and over again, your values. Values is a great way to consider how to approach writing your US essay. Remember this when you're looking at the resources, right? There's tons of resources. In PSL, we've got a US essay tab for you. And everything I'm going to show you, including this presentation, is in there. Plus, you know how in PSL you've got those little sideways triangles, and it gives you like sub-pages. If you click on that, once you finish your US essay, then you'll find another little tab, a hidden US supplemental essay tab. And that gives you kind of support on all the various different additional essays. So to make yourself stand out from all the other candidates from admission, that's why we do this. By the way, the UK have got the same tab, okay? It's also a chance for you to demonstrate your writing ability as well. Now, if you find PSL, this tab that I'm talking about, then there's a YouTube link there that you could watch as well to further kind of demonstrate the purpose of this. Now I'm going to ask you a series of questions about what the US essay is about. By the way, the answers are on the board as I'm asking you. So, the US essay is the essay, it's the one part of the application where you can truly demonstrate who you are. Give me something I really need to know about the essay.
About yourself.
Number one, almost all the prompts ask you to tell you something about yourself. Good. Aaron, can you tell me something else?
It's just like a regular essay, but instead you just read about you.
Exactly. This is not a style of essay where you are unfamiliar with. All the things that you've learned in English class, the point is everything you've learned in English, you can apply to this essay. Things to do with grammatical structure, purpose of text type, usual features of text type. So you can see this as a narrative, if you go down the narrative route, or
an autobiography.
You will be prepared to be able to write this. You've got all of the skills to be able to write this. And plus, it's about one topic you know about. You. Okay? Yoda, can you give me something else? Key point?
Personally, I'd say it's a chance to add life to your application and to pitch yourself outside of this.
Correct. Well done. And anyone want to give me another one? Number two. Felix, do you want to read it out? Number two.
Your own official blog.
Yeah. So you're writing in effect, an autobiography, but not a lengthy one because it's 650 words. Okay. What myths are there about the application essay? First one.
You have to write about something no one's ever written about.
Yeah, you don't need to write something that someone hasn't written about before. You can write about hockey. But what's important is that you talk about uncommon reflections upon what you're talking about with that topic, for example, of hockey. You could link it to things like, especially if it's ice hockey. You could link to all kinds of things to do with culture, to do with family time, to do with, you know, adventurism, sports, you know, all of these other kind of values that you hold important.
There's a right answer to the question.
Yeah, that's right. There is no right answer because everybody's unique.
It has to be a really, really good idea. It has to be funny.
Wacky or funny, yeah. It doesn't need to be wacky or funny. Don't try and be overly clever.
You have to do this on your own.
Yeah, you don't. We're here, college counsellors, okay? Once you write the first draft, what's going to happen is then you're going to hand it in. I like it shared as a Google Doc. And then I start writing some written feedback as an initial feedback and get it sent back to you. Then you can make some edits. Then after that, on your second draft, I like to work individually one-to-one with students coming in on appointments, okay? That's how I operate. And I know other college counsellors are very supportive in this writing process as well. Next one. Yeah, the essay on its own is not going to get you in. It's an aspect of it. So some students say, oh yeah, I got a 1.3 GPA with like 1 and a 2 at AP. But, you know, my essay's really good. Am I going to get into Harvard? Sorry, no. But what it is it's an additional thing on top of grades, test scores, letters of recommendation essay. Okay? Right, common mistakes include
Visualizing the admissions committee as a bunch of cool professors.
Yeah.
And then trying
in
to
tweed
find-
jackets and stuff, and so I remember when I was your age, when I would go to interviews for school, or if I was changing school, or if I had to write an essay, or had to do some kind of application process. In my mind, I honestly would envisage these people as like super rigid, stuffy people that would never understand me as an 18-year-old or younger. So as a result, I would change the way I spoke, and they weren't seeing how I really am as a result of that, and that doesn't create the best impression, right? These people, if you've seen them, if you've come to any of our university visits, you'll see that these are people that are quite good with people skills, very interested to learn about who you are, very engaged in conversations. They are people, right? And that's who you're writing for in the US essay. Okay, so think about audience and purpose there. Don't try and sound super clever for no reason, because that comes across.
Trying so hard to be memorable that you're making essential.
Yeah, right. So it comes with the whole kind of trying to be wacky kind of principle. Okay, another common mistake.
Writing an essay is so predictable and generic that it would work for 1/3 of the senior class.
Yeah. So if you were to write the essay, you need to put it out on this table here, and we're all together sit down, and then one of us, one by one, was to come along and read all of those essays, and then we're in a position where they had to decide whose essay was whose. If it's a good essay, you should know whose it is. Does that make sense? So generic one where it's like, God, that could be anybody. We're not learning about you, you're defeating the purpose of the...
So if I've got an older brother, I'll just do this.
No, you won't.
That's
though.
easy for me.
That would be very easy for you. But one, they can check to see if your older brother has applied before through Common App or other means, and then they can check to see if there's plagiarism. The UK, there's a thing called copy catch in your personal statements. So you're not, so you'd be writing like, as your older brother who probably has a very different outlook and view on life and different experiences, and it's not you that we're learning about your older brother.
So it's never a good idea.
So
to
even
take
if you just
somebody
switch around a he and a she, it
Yeah.
still wouldn't be you, and it doesn't work for you that way. Okay, forgetting that your counselor and teachers are your allies, that's a common mistake, and that your parents don't know anything about you as well. Don't write it how they exactly tell you how to write it, obviously, but they are people that know you probably more than you realize, more than you may know aspects of yourself. So as a result, they're good people to discuss and brainstorm with. But then so are your teachers, so are your college counselors, people that have gone through supporting people in this process quite a lot already. Okay, there's a little video because I've been talking a lot.
What can you really accomplish in 650 words? There are a few things you should specifically be aiming for, and all of them are easy enough to accomplish. First of all, you want to make yourself memorable. In advertising, the idea of making yourself memorable is called branding. Celebrities often call it star power. What it really boils down to is finding something about yourself, your experiences, and what you have to offer to the world that is effortlessly recognizable and easily recollected. What will make you stand out in a sea of similarly qualified applicants? If a group of admissions officers is sitting around the decision table, all looking at groups of students with similar GPAs and activity lists, what will make the one reading your essay, grab your application, stand up and say, take her, take the dancer who choreographed your presidential election. I want the trapeze artist with the fear of heights. Don't forget that hilarious soccer player with the gnarly feet. An admissions officer should be able to easily recall details that are emblematic of your personality and that are representative of who you are at your core. Your essay should also tell admissions something they don't know. You should use these essays as an opportunity to say something that hasn't been said. This is how I feel about this thing. This is what is important to me. This is what I value. Maybe you talk about the bonding that occurs in morning car rides shared with your mom, or your nerdy love of experimenting with model rocket ships. Wouldn't it be fun to detail your all-consuming allergy to processed foods? We're so sorry about that, by the way. Or maybe compare your talents and inner qualities to your favorite sports cars. The students who are most successful try to reveal something to admissions officers that they would not be able to find on their transcript. And this doesn't mean you can't write about something that already appears on your activity list or in your academic report. What it means is that your essay shouldn't be about the mission of Habitat for Humanity or even what you did in your community service hours for the organization. Rather, it should be about how your experience with Habitat for Humanity changed your life in a real and compelling way. What unexpected experience did you have there? How did it make you a more complete and interesting person? If you can't tell a story that is personal and revelatory, you should consider looking elsewhere for a topic. Your essay should put your personality on display. Are you studious and curious? Are you sensitive and brave? Are you determined? Are you funny? Are you hungry? Have a donut. These qualities should shine through in your final essay. No matter the topic, an admissions officer should feel like they're getting a giant slice of you in there. Family members and friends should be able to recognize your voice. A good test is to think, would it be weird for anyone else to put his or her name at the top of my essay? If so, you're on the right track.
Okay. So, moving forwards, just kind of categorizing and kind of delving into the nuts and bolts of how to go about writing this essay, because it's very easy saying, write about yourself. There you go. You've got carte blanche open to you. And then it's like, oh, where do I start? Okay. And I understand that feeling. So you could looking at it in this way. Are you an A, B, C, or a D? A has, and so you need to ask yourself the questions of, have you gone through significant challenges? Do you know what you want to study? And then from those two questions, you'll be able to find where you lie on this kind of grid. Challenges, we're talking about significant challenges that go beyond the usual everyday life challenges. So we quite commonly have students talking about moving countries as a challenge. But that's really quite common, especially from an international pool. Okay, it's a fantastic qualities that you gain from being, for example, a third culture child and stuff. You know, going beyond just the move itself and thinking about what values, what things have I learned beyond that, and lessons learned. Now that is something then to start thinking about.
Please do try to look beyond doing the international move essay.
Yeah, and I do have a list of examples of significant challenges that pupils have faced. Doesn't mean that if yours is not on there, it doesn't mean that it's not worth writing about. It's just to give you an example and a reference point. So just take a minute, ask yourself, have I had any significant challenges that other people probably have not had, or a lot of people wouldn't have? And then ask yourself, is there something, do I know what I want to study or not? And then work out whether or not you're an A, which is a student that has faced significant challenges and knows what they want to study. B, a student that has not faced significant challenges, but does know what they want to study. C, has faced significant challenges, but doesn't know what they want to study. And remember, in the US, it's okay if you don't know what you want to study because of the nature of the way the degree program is set up and its exploratory nature, as we talked about before. Or D, student has not faced significant challenges and doesn't know what they want to study. So just take a minute to reflect and think to yourself what one you are. Got it? It's hard. You might need more time than the time I'm giving you because I've got a short period of time. Spend some time reflecting upon that. Right, so you've asked yourself those questions, okay? So they can help you work out which approach you might work for you. So get this, you can write a great essay, whether or not you've been through a challenge or you have not been through a significant challenge. Whether or not you know what you want to study, or if you don't know what you want to study, it doesn't matter. You can still write a great essay. How? Find the right structure. So now I'm going to talk about frameworking and structure. A good essay should either go deep, discussing one moment that fundamentally changed your life. I think that is for somebody that's gone through significant challenges, and then the reflection born out of that. Or go wide, discuss many different aspects or elements of your life. That's somebody that may have not gone through significant challenges, yet still knows the values which they hold important and therefore can reflect that upon in the essay. Okay? So the narrative structure will help you go deep. The montage structure will help you go wide. Just a little kind of note, I don't believe people can be generally reduced to types. You can think of these as just different types of strategies rather than anything else, okay? So, or you might change your category as you write your list, write your essay. So, do we know, basic question, but very important, fundamentally, do we know what a narrative is? A narrative is when you're telling a story, in effect, okay, about a significant moment. Do we know what a montage is? Does anybody not know what a montage is? Okay, so I'll just really give my super summary then. Imagine you're watching a film, Boy Meets Girl. You know, you sit, the film is a big narrative about that meeting, okay? And then all of a sudden, in the next like couple of minutes, you see snapshots, probably usually with music, of different life events that they go through together. And then probably eventually like they get married or something at the end of that montage sequence, okay? So it's like, you know, this happens, that happened, and it allows the audience to fill in the gaps of the story. So that's the montage approach. And then you see them kind of like, it goes cut to when they're kind of fed up with each other, sitting around the living room going, or whatever, however the story's developing, okay? So that's basically, yeah, a nice way to kind of understand what montage is, or an easier way. Now, there is a quick list of things here, a link, okay? Just gonna quickly click on this. Here are some examples of challenges that students may face. And I'm not going to dwell on this. It's in the PSL, and it's good for you to look at this in your reflection to decide whether or not this is something that's going to help you or not. Okay? So moving back to where we were. So I like to start with thinking about the montage structure. And it seems like most of us are best suited to writing in this montage structure due to the fact that the numbers of significant challenge in your life that you've overcome, students may not actually be there. So, montage. I talked about values earlier on. There's an exercise on the PSL to think about these values. I'm just showing you what it looks like. There's an activity for you to think about what's important to you, and then narrow it down. You start with 10, read through them all, write your own. Okay, this is just a screenshot of a snapshot, it carries on. And then from there, kind of reduce that 10, for example, to 5. And then choose like 2 to 3 that you hold most important. And it's just a bit about that self-reflection. And self-reflection is key. Introspection when you're writing the college essay for the US, okay? Now, doing this exercise will help set you up with one example of an approach to montage you can write. Brainstorming is really important, okay? I'll come back to how we use values in a sec. Brainstorming is really important, use the PSL. There is a resource on there. You can click this link. You will find there are 7 kind of different ways to help choose your own pathway that I've highlighted. There are brainstorming activities that get mental juices flowing. But these are examples of things where you can look for a topic, basically, because you want to brainstorm on a topic idea initially, and then use that with various values and find out which topics lend themselves nicely to values that you hold important, okay? So this is your way to find out your topic. So there's an I know I love exercise in the topic to find out your topic. There's an essence object. So you could be considering different objects that hold certain values for you, for example. Super skill or superpower brainstorming activity. So this goes on to number 7 all the way to the end on the PSL using that link here. Once you've decided upon or have several ideas, probably better way to look at it, of different topics, and you're like, which topic am I going to write about? Then start this brainstorming activity. Think to yourself, which values that I've highlighted already would best associate with this topic that I'm looking at. So if you want to talk about medieval blacksmithing, for example, which is a bit of an uncommon topic. So therefore, are there certain values or uncommon values that you can associate with that? Okay. Hockey. like we said before, it's quite common, okay? But if that is a topic idea that you come up with using brainstorming, because it might be something you know or love, right? And then think, what values can I associate with that? And we talked about that earlier on. If you're finding common values to common topics, then your essay is not uncommon. Does that make sense? If you're finding uncommon topics and finding common values, it's not super uncommon. The ideal sweet spot is an uncommon topic with uncommon values associated with it, or uncommon links to that topic. Now, you can choose a common topic, and that's absolutely fine as well. Just make sure that you are doing a lot more reflection with the values and the links to that topic. Then once you've done that, and so do this several times with a range of different topics. You might find you've only got 2 values for one topic. It's going to be hard to write about that, isn't it? You might find another topic that just lends itself to like tons of values, and you're like, this is easy. So then once that probably might lend itself to a good topic to write about in your essay. And if so, here's your process in your planning. Link the topic to your value. Talk about how you achieve. These are just note forms. Add in additional detail. How do you achieve this value by doing this thing, this topic that you're writing about? Okay? And look, each value now becomes a paragraph in your writing. And here's an example of a planning sheet which has been used for an essay. Values there on the left. Examples of how those qualities have been developed doing the topic. And then some insightful so what moments, additional details. Okay? Notice creativity. The topic is laptop stickers. Unusual. But from the laptop stickers, this person has talked about their creativity, how they've demonstrated creativity in the laptop stickers, and also given some additional so what moments. Why is that important? That's one paragraph talking about creativity. The next paragraph is talking about open-mindedness. And then the next paragraph is about family and humor and stuff. And the next, you get the idea, yeah? So then you could then start writing a paragraph on those 3 things, going across. And then another paragraph on those 3 items or cells in the row going across. Okay? Okay, narrative. If you feel that challenges is something that is appropriate for you to talk about, there's another framework exercise that you can work on, and that's called the feeling and needs exercise. And you'll find it on this link there, but it's on the PSL, okay? Only use this if you have faced a significant challenge. You explore like a moment, an event. It could be positive, it could be negative, but something that you're experiencing. That's the when I saw, I experienced thing. Okay? By the way, this is all in the sheets. Then explore how did that make you feel? And we've got something here, that a framework down below that can help support you with that. There's I felt this way because I need it. Okay, so you're exploring why was that an important moment? What did you need out of the situation? And again, another framework there to support you with that. And then moving on. Here's the important bit. What did I do about it and what did I learn? I'm not going to go into the details of this because you get the idea, but this is the self-reflection and there's a help sheet there to help support this as well. Okay? And here's an example of a grid that you can use to help with the planning. So you're categorizing it into what was a challenge, its effects, your feelings, your needs. That is really just the first 1/3 of the essay. The next third needs to be, what did I do about it? Next third is what I learned. I have way too many students writing too much about the challenge itself and not enough self-reflection. So if you do write a narrative, make sure that you've got 1/3 what you did and 1/3 what you learned. Usually people use a couple of sentences at the end about what you learned. And that is not defeating the purpose of the object. Oh, and by the way, there's an example link there in the handouts. So, challenges and effects should be that many words. Section 2, what I did about it, that many words. What did I learn? That many words. Roughly thirds. And here are some notes about an example. Challenges, effects, what I did about it, what I learned. Okay? Examples are there for you. So in the handout sheets. There's no, just wrapping up now. There is no, for the US, no surefire approach for essay writing. No essay on its own will get you in. Many different students are accepted to colleges each year with many different types of essays. Having said this, the task of the college essay is to shape the student's life into a coherent narrative, or montage if you're using that approach. Okay, 3 big resources to use. That video was from the College Essay Advisors. They've got a great website to help support you there, as well as PSL resource, which is at the bottom, biggest resource you're going to need. We've spent ages bringing everything together into one nice, neat place for you. And there's also the collegeessayguide.com. The College Application Hub is also useful. Now your task, everybody with me now.
Well done.
Draft 1, whether it's UK or US, is to be done, and only choose one of those. If you want to apply to both, or you change your mind, you want to do a UK one later, as well as the US one, talk to your individual college counsellor, will help get you set up. But 1, okay, for now, 1 draft of UK or US due in at the end of the Easter break. That first draft is to be shared with me. Everybody know what you're doing? Yes? Everyone feel like you're in a good position and you know what it's about and what you need to do? Yes?
Yeah.
Okay. And that's that. Thank you for your time and well done for listening. I know there's a lot there.
Does it matter what we write our essay about, or just?
For the US one, well, try going through those range of different topics. Technically, no, it doesn't. But as long as what you're writing is demonstrating you and the values that you want to share. Okay? And if you're finding uncommon links,